This video covers the IGCSE Biology Objective 3.3.2 on the 2025 CAIE syllabus to explain the importance of active transport. So now in the previous video we have looked at what active transport is. So now let's talk about why it's important. So first of all, we have the movement of molecules across cell membranes. So that can happen with passive transport with diffusion or with osmosis in the case of water. But in some cases, there are areas, let's say for example in the human body, where we want all of the molecules to move across the cell membrane. And so even when the concentration gradient is against the movement of that molecule, we still want those molecules to move in that particular direction. So one example of this is in the intestinal tract. So typically at some point as starch gets digested and glucose molecules fill up the digestive tract, we are going to eventually, as glucose is absorbed into the blood, have more glucose in the blood than the intestinal tract. However, the body has done so much work in order to digest the starch molecules to produce the glucose that the body does not want to lose any of those glucose molecules that it has digested. So then active transport will come into play to move the rest of the glucose molecules into the bloodstream across the intestinal wall. So the cells that line the small intestine that are pictured here are going to actively transport the glucose into the blood, which is pictured here in red and blue, in order to ensure that none of those molecules are then lost. Now we will learn more about this as we do the digestive system, but this is just one of the reasons why it is important. Those molecules will be used to create energy for the body to do all the 7 characteristics of life, and so none of those molecules should be wasted. So in plants, we have ion uptake by root hair cells. So if you remember, a root hair cell is one of the cells that line the outside of the root, and it has this extension in order to create more surface area for the absorption of water and for minerals which are in the soil. So typically, because of concentration gradient, there always will be a higher concentration of mineral salts in the plant than in the soil. And so what happens is those molecules will be continuously moved into the plant by active transport in order for the plant to continue to have those ions, which play very important roles in the life of the plant. So one of those important roles is that those mineral salts are used to build proteins, which then would move further along the food chain. As an animal eats the plant, they're then getting those proteins. As a human eats the plant or eats the animal that ate the plant, then they would also get those proteins that were originally built using the mineral salts. And so therefore, those mineral salts are very important to get into the plant, and so they would be pumped in by active transport.